How you doing? Welcome back. This is Rick with Winders Ranger. I wanted to share a few thoughts on the Wahl Power Pro. I've been using this now for a while, and I feel like I've got enough experience with it, enough use with it, that I can share an honest review of what I think about it, how it performs, and its quality. Originally this video was going to be how to adjust the cutting head here, and a talk about the quality and the build quality of this. Prior to getting started this morning, I wanted to see how much content that was actually going to create for the video before I got started. And in the process, I found that it's just not adjustable at all. I guess the reason for that is because instead of being adjustable, you can just pop that head off and put on the other head, and there you go. Both cutting heads cut basically the same. The only difference that I've found personally is the width of this cutting head is wider than the other one. The other cutting head is more of a beard trimmer. This is maybe 1/4 of an inch wider than the other trimmer is, or the other trimmer head. I did go over that when I first did the video on this, how they come apart. You simply just put your thumb at the base and a couple of fingers on the front and just pull it back. It just snaps right off. What holds that on is a clip portion here on the back, rides along the back portion of the trimmer head, or the trimmer body, and the drive shaft from the motor sits inside this little horseshoe right here. And the drive shaft is this portion here. It's offset, and there's a ball on the end, and basically that thing just spins around. And when that thing spins around, it rides inside this horseshoe and makes this thing reciprocate back and forth. There's two springs here that apply pressure, downward pressure, to the trimming head, to the blade, and it also provides a little bit of resistance as that blade goes back and forth and brings it back to a center point, or tries to, as that drive shaft is moving it back and forth. Unlike the Elite Pro and some of the other trimmers that I've had, or clippers that I've had, the footplate is adjustable, even just by a little bit. It's not by much, but you loosen up both the screws, and that allows this to move independent of the blade that's inside, or on the other side. And you can actually bring that down closer and get a finer cut, aside from the thumb adjustment on the side. And that was what I intended to do with this, but what I found when I took it apart, and I looked at it a little bit closer, these two screws, as they come through, they come up through this plastic portion here, and as they come up through, they basically seat themselves inside that plastic. This is one screw right here, and this is the other screw right there. And because they bite into that plastic, there's not enough of there's nothing else for them to attach to, and that plastic is what holds them firm in place, and it prevents that footplate from moving any further than what it already is. So with that said, that's a fixed head. It's as fine as it's going to get, and you're not going to be able to change it unless you do something with those screws. And by wobbling out those holes in that plastic, more than likely what you're going to do is you're going to ruin this to where it's just not going to function properly. So with that said, what I think of this trimmer. I've been using it now since, I guess, around Christmas time, and I cut my hair about once a week, maybe every 4 days or so, depending on what I've got going on in the week and my work schedule and things like that. So I've used this a fair amount, and it's okay. It does fine. It does the job. It gets the haircut, and for that, it's suitable. The build quality is it's not quite what I've come to expect from Wahl. I don't know exactly what happened. I've had other trimmers that were home gamer trimmers. You know, the first one that I got, the first set of clippers that I got, that was a cheap $30 set that I bought at Walmart. And in my opinion, that set had a better build quality than what this does. They're not exactly comparing apples and apples. That was a clipper for doing an entire haircut. This is more of like a beard trimmer, you know, clean up the edges kind of thing. Even some of the old beard trimmers and things, I kind of felt like they had a better build quality than what this does. I don't want to beat them up too bad. I mean, it's still doing the job, and it functions fine. It doesn't have any malfunctions or issues. It just doesn't have the same robustness that what I would consider an average Wahl product. The cord is a little bit stiff and kind of has that cheap feel to it. You know, a cheap, I don't know, like a cheap maybe appliance or something like that, you wouldn't expect to keep it for any length of time. And maybe that goes along with how this head was constructed with the plastic. That doesn't look to me like that's going to be something that's a long-term use. That's probably a year or two, maybe a couple of years. And once that wears out, or if there's any problems with it, it's probably just a throwaway item. So that may be why the rest of this is built the way it is. Maybe it's all engineered that way. I don't really know. Could I recommend this for professional use? No, I don't think I could. If I had a professional business and I cut hair, and that was my livelihood, that was my business, would I want to have somebody recommend this to me? No, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. As far as a home gamer, you know, if you cut your hair, or you like to just touch your hair up a little bit after you go to a barbershop, sure, I'm sure this would be just fine. There'd be no issue with that. I've always said in my videos that I would give an honest review of the product, and I wouldn't recommend anything that I personally wouldn't use myself. I'm not trying to be overly critical of a Wahl product or their company or anything they're producing, but I do want to make sure that I'm being as transparent and honest as I can, and that's the reason for this video and this particular product. With that said, if you like what we're doing here, hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos in the future, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, and you'll be notified of any videos that I post in the future. We've got some stuff coming up this summer that I hope to have some pretty decent content. With that said, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.